the next morning it was, and then
Yeah.
and it wouldn't stop bleeding, and so she forced me to go into the hospital and get stitches.
Yo, what's going on? We have got the Chop Master in the house. Bladechops is the guest on today's episode. What's going on, man? How you doing?
Man, life is good despite all the insanity, and I don't know, it feels weird, like in my own little immediate bubble. Things are chill and life is good, but then, just outside of it, the world's
Kind of
just falling
crazy.
apart and just crazy. And so, yeah,
Kind of crazy.
it's kind of weird for me to reconcile those things, and just way more screen time than I'm used to in life, and not enough outdoor time. And
Yeah,
I'm also
yeah.
close to the fires. Man, Cali is
Are
burning.
you in Cali right now?
Yeah, I'm in Berkeley in Northern California, in the Bay Area, and man, we're not in immediate danger, but dude, shit around us is just burning up, and some days you just can't go outside because the air is hella bad. But I feel lucky not in any immediate danger, but at the same time, dude, the air quality's been hella nuts, and I'm a physical person. I like to get outside and get my fresh air and do my thing, and so it's been hard, but at the same time, just man, heart going out to all these people just losing their homes and shit. It's just crazy,
It's really crazy. My homie lives out there in San Fran. He's actually moving to Hawaii this Wednesday, getting out. But he sent me a picture. It was like 11 a.m. and it was just red outside. I'm like, what? Before we get too far down in the episode, just explain to the people who don't know what you do and who you are, and we'll just take it from there.
Cool. Yeah. Bladechops is now my IG handle. It was all just basically lockdown, me being having more extra time on my hands, and I just been chopping knives for a while. Man, I should have pulled out. Damn it!
You don't have any?
Disassembled. The first one that got me hooked. Yeah. But y'all probably know that the Spyderco smock was based on Kevin Smock, who started off as a modder. One of his customs, the SK23, right? But his mini Southern chops. I was sprung. I saw. I have a twin brother. He's real into outdoor stuff like me, but he's a total gun nut. I'm not into guns myself, but he would kind of show me Spydercos and its different knives in addition to all his guns, and it was basically, we were backpacking one time, and I had my little Swiss Army knife, but I wasn't man, I was borrowing his Spyderco all the time. Yeah. And so basically when we got back, I was like, man, I need to up my knife game and get something real, something that with a locking blade. And so I think I got a Kershaw Leak, and got kind of bummed on how sketchy that automatic shit is. The
speed safe.
But so I think I got a I'm thinking this is probably about 6-7 years ago. Basically, I got a Chaparral.
Chaparral. Okay, very thin slicer.
Yeah, and so that set the bar real high for me, because I just I didn't realize why it cut so well. I just knew it did. But then that led me down the rabbit hole, and so I started to go, I want something a little bit bigger. So I got a Sage. Yeah. And then I was like, and then by that time I was hooked and starting to spend way too much money on knives. Yeah. So I was on the Spyderco forums, always trying to plot out what my next thing to buy was, and saw someone post a picture of the mini Southern chop that he had Smock do, and oh man, I fell in love with that. But even at that point, just the Southern alone was kind of expensive for me. Yeah. And then to pay an extra $300, $400, $500, to have him mod it, which is out of my price range. And already would be getting feeling kind of sketchy, if I was spending around $100 on a knife, and my wife not really too hyped on that at all. So basically it took me, it was finding out about Blade Forums, the swap.
Yeah.
finding and the Reddit swap and realizing that I could get users on there for dumb cheap compared to paying retail, and that
Yeah.
if I was going to try to mod one like Smock, because I basically
Mhm.
had, I don't know, I just grew up with like not super mechanically inclined, but my pop's trying to teach me just when in doubt just try to tackle it and make things happen, and just try to kind of a do it yourself mentality. And basically had just some tools around and figured, oh man, I want to see if I could do that,
Like
and
the
found a
chop,
cheap
right?
user. Chop my
Is
own.
that a big
Just
thing like right now? Do a lot of people do that, those kind of modifications? Because
yeah.
I've seen some people do it, but when I found your page, I forgot how I found it. I think I was in a knife chat group on Instagram,
Hmm.
and someone posted it and was like, yo, I'm not gonna lie, this is kind of dope, you know. And then I was like, oh shit, that's so sick. Because my one of my problems since I'm in New York City is there are a lot of great knives that I wouldn't carry necessarily, that I wish I could. Like I love the handle design, I love the blade geometry, I just love the way the knife is, but it's a risk for me to carry something so big because
Dude,
you,
and in
you know what I
NY
mean?
they do not play.
Yeah, this is
They do
like
not play,
the
right?
ideal size of what I'm comfortable getting frisked with.
Yeah,
If I do, I don't
yeah,
get searched. I never do. In the event that I do, I would be comfortable having this in my pocket. I don't even carry on the pocket clip. I carry in my pocket when I'm
yeah.
outside. I only use my knives inside. But for example, I saw you did a blade chop of the Spyderco Capara, and I have a Capara too. And I'm like, man, I wish mine was like that. I think that's how I started my communication with you, because I wish
Yeah,
Capara was like that, and it made it it made more sense for the knife to be that size as a New
yeah,
York City dweller like me. If I had
yeah,
that,
man.
you know, it's not a 3-inch knife, 3-inch blade length knife is not that threatening. And you know, I'm more likely to be let go, I guess, quote unquote, if I, you know, because I do work in a retail space. I'm opening boxes, I'm cutting down cardboard all the time, which is what I
Yeah,
use most of my knives for. Knives to me, as a city dweller, like especially in New York City, is just a fidget tool that I am flipping all day. You know, I love to have it in my hand. I like cool materials on it. That's where
yeah,
I'm at with my collection. You know what I mean?
yeah,
And
yeah,
all those chops that you've been doing just all made sense to me. You did a Spyderco shaman chop, and I had a shaman before too. I sold it because it was too big,
yeah,
and I was
yeah.
like, man, maybe I should have sold it, because I found you. You know, what do you normally
Yeah,
charge for these things? Like, are you busy? Because I know your Instagram says your books are closed at the moment.
yeah.
Yeah,
I'm starting to reopen them. But yeah, let me get to that in a sec.
yeah,
Yeah, just to explain that, it takes a little bit more time. But yeah, basic price, it's usually about $85 for a chop, and then about then 25 to reposition the clip, and some chops don't need to. And then with stuff like the shaman that's way thicker, tie scales that are thicker and take longer to work with, then I have to
yeah,
tack on a few extra bucks to work with those. But
yeah.
generally that's like it's usually within
85 plus.
yeah, like
Yeah.
the more
Wait,
expensive
do you shave
ones.
off the scales too?
Yeah, I mean sometimes
What?
I'll contour and reshape the handles a lot.
Oh
And basically
man.
yeah, the more intricate ones, like right now I just got in a oh yeah, like this sway back is
Yeah, yeah.
is about to get chopped down, to like, oh, here's my chopped
Oh,
one actually. So, like original, oh wait,
oh my.
bad way to hold it. Let's see. So you can see it's like,
Oh man.
you kind of like, actually, damn,
Smaller.
I wasn't even planning to do this, but this worked out good in terms
Yeah.
of like, wait, let me just, I guess let me just open them up and
Yeah,
put up
yeah,
a
yeah.
comparison so that could just show that's
Wow.
because that's, yeah. So let's see. So here's the original,
Yep,
and then
yep.
here's the chopped right beneath
Love
it.
it.
So you can
Love it,
basically
bro.
just see, it's like, almost always shooting for that 3-inch blade, 4-inch handle
Love
type
it, man.
thing, because I feel like
Love it.
that's my wheelhouse too. And
Why
as a,
did you
I'm not,
decide to chop knives? You just like the look, or was it for carryability, or what made you decide to get into this? Because
it
it
was
seems
really
all
like
your knives
three.
are around that 3-inch length. I looked at your page a
Yeah.
bunch today, and I love everything that you've done on there. There's not one knife
Oh,
where I was
thanks,
like,
man.
well, that looks kind of like not that well done. They all look pretty damn good.
Thanks a lot, man. Yeah, and I definitely have my favorites and some that I feel like still need work. But man, I hella appreciate that. And the reason my mentality was like, there's really three main things. First was size. I was like, man, I'm a hella active person. I have a lot of shit in my pockets at all
Yeah,
times.
yeah.
And I just can't have a big ass machete in my pocket. I like big blades, and especially when I'm outdoors, want something bigger, like big fixed blades when I'm camping and that kind of thing. But dude, I'm also hella into skateboarding, and
Yeah.
and man, I'm not trying to fall and having something real big in there.
Oh, dude, that would be terrible.
And so like when here, like my skating knife is straight,
Yeah.
my actually
What's
dragonfly.
your skating knife? Oh shit. Yeah.
Or or it's like the G10 Warney Dragonfly. Where I mean, I just basically put the Warney blade into that one. So that's like my go-to skating knife.
Dude,
But,
do
just,
you know this page on Instagram called Wicked Slams?
Oh,
So
nah,
it's pretty fucked up. I don't know. My girl thinks like I'm a total sociopath that I like this. So it's a page that is dedicated to like skaters like having really bad falls.
I'm gonna have to check it.
Yo, I love it. I'm like, oh, you get that feeling. I love that feeling. So I was wondering if you knew about that, because I watch so many skaters like just wipe out.
Oh, dude, it's part of
Yeah.
life,
Yeah.
It's part of life, and yeah, Thrasher site has a Hall of Meat, little section where they routinely will show cats just getting fucked. I mean, it's
Yeah.
horrible. But
Dude,
at the
some
same
of it
time,
is bad.
I love seeing it, and also just to remind me, man, I'm old now. I can't be doing that. Yeah, risking my life in the way
Yeah.
that cats really do. But I'm still like super passionate about skating. So
Yeah.
sometimes I like to watch it just to kind of remind me of like, nah, that. Because I'll try to. I'm an old ass dude, but when I jump on
Yeah.
my board, I feel like a teenager again. A little reality check, like, nah, I don't.
I love watching people that are good at it, and I love watching people wipe out too. Like I like them both like equally. You know what I
Yep.
mean? Yeah.
And sometimes it's like, man, even just like a good slam kind of wakes you up, and also can remind you of like, oh, I can take it. Kind of like, it can be a good thing.
I've seen some guys like wipe out and like no blood, no nothing, but like they're like so hurt. And I've seen girls like face plant and like lose a tooth and are like fine. I'm like, oh shit.
Yeah.
Yo,
And
it's crazy.
I've had some sketchy injuries too,
Yeah.
where I come
Like
out
ramp
of it
stuff or like just downhill kind of thing.
Yeah, I mostly skate at the skate park in Berkeley, so it's like a
Nice.
combination of transition and more like street obstacles.
Yeah.
When I was younger, I mean, man, I'm 48 now, so I most like even my twin brother stopped skating like 20 years ago. I'm one of the old holdouts, and but actually one of my homies is Ron Allen, he's the first African American street skater pro street skater, but my boy Ron is, dude, 56 now.
Wow.
And he's still skating at a hella high level. And so
Tony Hawk's still doing the damn thing too. Like he still goes around, having kids do kickflips on his YouTube channel. He gives them a board.
Yeah, and when I was going to college, I went to school at UC San Diego, and it was my brother's roommate, Gareth. He was good friends with Tony Hawk, and basically, it was in that because I went to college starting in 1990 because I'm an old ass dude, and basically, back then, ramp skating had kind of died out in terms of professional careers really making it.
I think it's like making a comeback. I think now, right?
Oh hell yeah!
Yeah,
But, back then, so even someone as high status as Tony Hawk, who I grew up idolizing, man, he was just a normal dude. I mean, he still had hella money.
Yeah.
And we go to it, he had a pretty amazing ramp complex. It was like North County, San Diego, and basically, man, it was a trip. He was just a normal dude, and we wouldn't really gas out that hard on being like, man, we're with Tony Hawk. But now it's kind of cool going like, we would go up there pretty regularly, it was cool. And actually, my boy Gareth, who was props Gareth Ueda, but basically, he was one of the illest skaters too. I mean, so good. There's just a lot of real talented dudes when I went to school there. But basically, I wasn't ever that good, but I just always loved it.
It's probably keeping you young, dude, to like be active and stuff and all that. I mean, it's crazy. Like I'm gonna be 40 in January, but I've always been a skinny dude, right, with a very fast metabolism. I'm an ectomorph, hard to put on muscle, but very easy with endurance and stuff like that. I didn't really get into fitness until like 2 years ago. Now I
Yeah,
work out like 6 days a week because I'm trying to
dude, you're
stop
doing it
father
right.
time. I'm trying to stop father time as much as I can because I
Hell yeah.
definitely don't feel as young as I look, man. I
You
ev-
look hella young.
I
I was
know.
thinking,
It's
yeah, I was thinking that you could even be like late 20s type of thing, you
oh,
know? Um,
I'm so thankful for that.
yeah, man. I think,
You
and yeah, I mean, I'm feeling like sometimes, yes,
look
because
young,
sometimes
dude. You do not look 48 years old. You're kind of like
thank you,
my
brother.
brother is about your age, and you guys are in that kind of like same like physical demographic in the face. You know what I mean?
Right.
So
Oh, man, I
yeah,
appreciate it.
yeah, you
I'm
guys both
trying
look
to,
young.
I'm like you said, I'm trying to rewind and just kind of fight
Do whatever
aging
you can to
and
stop it
just
from coming in, man. That's what I'm
and
trying to do.
hell yeah, and
Yeah.
yeah, trying to age as gracefully as possible, just to
Yeah.
try to keep doing fun
Yeah.
shit for as
But
long as possible.
back to the knives, right? How much
Oh,
time do you spend on this? Has it become like a side gig kind of, or
yeah, and I realized too. Let me answer that one, and I never answered adequately the first question about
yeah.
what got me jumping in. So let me go in that, and I'll try to remember to jump into
Sure,
the
sure.
time spent and you know how the kind of proportion in life that it's taken, because it has changed hella much since Instagram, you know, in the last 4 or 5 months. And so yeah, yeah, definitely want to touch on that. Um, so one thing was size. So yeah, just feeling like I didn't want something hella beefy in my pocket, and it seemed like the small knife options, you know, this is like, yeah, I'm thinking 6 to 8 years ago, it was just a lot less, you know. Like I remember thinking that the other thing was I've always been hell of into Warney and sheep
Me
foot blades,
too. Me
and there
too.
weren't that many options, you know. I love the lower tip, so just
Yeah.
initiate the cut fast when you're doing draw cuts, and I like the look of it, you know. It was those two things, and I was feeling like, yeah, like there weren't that many like production knives with those blade shapes that look cool to me, you know.
Yeah.
And so I'd see customs, you know, like smocks, and see different
Yeah.
ones that I was hyped on, but
You mean
not.
like aftermarket mods, right?
Yeah, and
Yeah.
more just full custom, you know, like the
Whoa.
SK23, you know, like
Ooh.
full bore Warncliffe, or at least, you know, semi Warncliffe, and basically see some of those options that were way outside of my price range, and just going, oh, I saw a super beater Southern up for sale and went, I'm gonna just buy it and fuck with it. And so I just decided to
Wow.
chop with it. Oh, you know what? The biggest impetus for me was my little cousin, or it's really my first cousin's kid, little Alex Steiner. Props, Alex, because he basically had started he was only 14 and had started a knife business, making fixed blades, mostly
Wow.
knives. He was going to
Amazing.
he was living in Oakland, and basically going to a private school that had a metal shop with an instructor that was super into knives. And so you just got hella lucky having this dude just
Oh man, that's
really
awesome.
walk him through it, but had the facilities too. It was like a, you know, kind of a high-end private school is what I'm imagining. I've never stepped foot on campus, but it just seemed kind of like they have all that
Yeah.
stuff, you know, kind of, you know, more for wealthier kids or whatnot.
Yep.
But he lucked out and started, also had a real design sense. So he's making some beautiful fixed blade knives, and we'd be at these family reunions, hella bored, just trying to avoid the old people. We'd kind of try to dib off and go smoke some weed or whatever, and then we go talk to the youngsters, and Alex would be pulling out these knives. I'd be like, oh,
Whoa.
dude.
That he made?
And yeah, and these real
Wow.
little
And he was
Earlwood
14?
handles, and so and it was at one of these family things, and I was in his room and just going, dude, like, what the fuck are you doing in here? He had his workspace was like the top of his dresser, and it was just
Wow.
carved. It was just like Swiss cheese. He had this Dremel set up with I don't know. It was a Dremel, but all these attachments and things. But he had just gotten hella crazy with it in his room, and I was just kind of mystified because I was just hella intrigued by it. So he was just talking to me about it and showing me some of the stuff. But so I think it was more a combination of that, fiending for the smock Southern shop. And then also I think I got a Dremel tool from my dad for like a Christmas present or something like that. So I had some tools and I went, man. And yeah, I think it was just kind of putting two and two together, like, oh, my cousin did it with the little Dremel and this kind of thing. Even though he would mostly use the tools at the shop at his school, but he would fuck around at the house with this with his little Dremel setup. So I was like, all right, I don't need a big machine shop. I can mess around. This one's hella cheap because I think the dude had busted the tip off, and I knew since I was going to chop the tip off anyway that I wasn't tripping on that. So anyway, I just got down, and and it was easier than I thought. And I'm a kind of artistic minded dude. And basically, I'm kind of good with my hands is how I feel. And so it just was less scary to me than I thought. And so I basically I got lucky because I fucked up hella knives after that. But because that was the first one, and everything went smooth and things worked out well, and even managed to crown the spine pretty good, which I'm like, damn, I got hella lucky that I didn't mess up everything. But anyway, it turned out good, and I'd only had to spend, a little bit of cash relative to the 500 or 600 that Smock was charging. So that got me thinking. Then I was on the prowl, just going, ooh, what more can I chop? And so that's what sparked the addiction of just going, between all these exchanges where I could get cheaper beaters, and
that were like broken tips or something, and you would just chop it.
I was deliberately trolling for ones that be like, maybe like a $200 knife, but with a broken tip that they sell for $80 or something like that. So I was that was really my mindset. Is just like going there, and then basically it was really just doing it and feeling like, because outside of my brother, who would be kind of bored, he'd be more into like modding his ARs and this kind of thing. I'd show him my new knife I'd messed with, and he'd be like, oh, cool. but not really like spend the time I need. He wouldn't be nerding out on it the way that I felt it was deserved. So I started to realize, I'm buying these knives like Reddit, Blade forums, I'm gonna just start posting pictures just so I can, talk to cats online, since I'm not doing it in person.
On Instagram.
Have some kind of
on
I wasn't on Instagram until
Reddit?
a few months ago, because it was more like I think I started on Reddit and Blade forums maybe like 5 years ago. Went on the Spyderco forums, but it was more just like just to kind of like randomly put some stuff that I had done just to see what cats thought. But it wasn't trying to think of it.
Did you get a lot of shit for some of the stuff? Like, you shouldn't have done that.
Yeah, I would definitely I'd be prepared for way more of it than I got, but I was always getting some. And some cats would dare me to post it on the Spyderco forums. Like I might put something on the on Reddit and about, I dare you to put that in front of Sal Glesser and have him clown the fuck out of you.
I love it, man. You know what it is, like, I am more inclined to purchase a knife that no one is gonna have, right?
Yeah.
Or have a knife that everyone has, but is like absolutely different. That's the beauty of like aftermarket scales, clips, hardware, but like an aftermarket like blade modification, whether it's like stonewash or a chop or something like that. I would rather have that and then go to the meet or wherever it is that you're gonna chill with homies that are into the knife hobby too, and you pull out like a with a blade chop blade on it, and they're like, oh my god, what is that? You know what I mean? No one's gonna care about a regular Yojimbo. They're gonna say that's cool, that's nice scales. But when you have something that no one else has, it's like, wow, let me see that.
And actually, on that, I was just gonna tell a story that related to, because I was just fucking with my my Yo2 today, and so I was so basically I was trying to acid wash the liners, but had forgot to mask over the detent ball.
Oh no!
Bad news, because it's not ceramic. It's not ceramic on these, and so I realized right off the bat. I mean, I fixed it already, but there's hell of closed blade play because the detent had dissolved a hefty chunk, and I was just going, damn it. I make rookie moves like that all the time because I'm still just a human being. But and so I realized, because I'd been modding so many Southards, and basically some cats don't care about that second detent ball, and so I have a little collection of them. Because the smocks come with that second detent ball. I've been chopping a shitload of smocks. And so basically have a good few bunch of those extra detent balls lying around. And so I was like, oh yeah, let me just so I just popped that one out and pressed in used a C-clamp to press in another one. And it was dope because then I realized, because it's my first time messing with replacing a detent ball, so even though I messed up, it turned into a learning experience. And then I could fine tune the detent, using the C-clamp on there, crank it a little bit, reassemble the knife, check the detent, and then refine it down, because it was a little overly strong on the knife originally. And then when I zapped it, when I zorched it in the acid bath, obviously it was like non-existent. And then now I could kind of Goldilocks it, fine tune it. So it was so I felt like, oh man. But the main thing while I was pulling it out was like, you're talking about like just how, when you have a something that's unique, it just resonates deeper with you. It's more special. You just treat it differently, right? The other thing that I was realizing, I mean, this is more on my end as the maker, but when I look at this knife, now I feel like success because I fucked it up, mess with the detent ball, and I look at it and go, no, I fixed it. And so I feel this, so I look at it and just like it resonates, like as a, not only it's unique to me, but I also go, oh, it's a problem that I solved and I grew as a human being and I grew my skill set from it. And so it makes me feel hella good. And so, so there's a bunch of them where I can look at it too and just go, oh, or in some cases, like, man, it might be like was chopped it, reshaped it, and it's just looking hella terrible for a while, and then all of a sudden, last minute, everything came together, or whatever the case, or some disasters just happen all the time with this, and then I might look at the knife and just go, oh, just get the sense of like, oh no, I salvaged that, or made it.
You got to put out the fires, man. You're
so
putting out fires. That's all about what being an entrepreneur is,
and that's definitely the most stressful part of it, which brings up, this whole aspect of like time, how much I spend on it, and like what brought me into it. Because again, I would put them up on Reddit, and then eventually, it was really through Reddit where people would eventually start to commission mods, but it was kind of like just a little trickle, and then got bored via lockdown. Was like, oh, my brother's a video maker, and he was he mostly does mountain bike videos, and he had basically been out of the game for a little while and basically been growing weed for a while, and so he basically decided, no, he's going to go back into the mountain bike game, and use Instagram as a vehicle to help advertise and
it's one of the best things. I think if you have a product and you're selling a product, I think Instagram is like hands down the best thing for reaching people that might want it.
I think you're right, man.
Yeah, Instagram is really good for knife stuff. It's really good. A weird thing that I've been doing lately is, I know like the knife community is like fuck TikTok and all that shit, right? That's what they think. But lately, and I produce content on YouTube. I'm on Twitter once a day. I do an Instagram Reels, and I post a picture on Instagram every day. I post multiple stories a day, and I post on TikTok too. So what I've been noticing is like my TikTok, like 15-second knife clips, just going over what the steel is, who the maker is, and what the knife is and stuff like that.
Oh yeah,
getting thousands of views and hundreds of likes and comments a day.
Dude, that's raw. Hell yeah.
It's crazy though, because the reason why knife people don't like TikTok is if you put a knife in a video, even though you're not like stabbing something or trying to hurt anybody or whatever, it will get a community guideline strike. And that deters a lot of people, right? But what I've learned is, so you submit an appeal, and I just explain like, hey man, I'm a YouTube content creator. I showcase knives as tools to be used for everyday things, not to be used for hurting people. Please reconsider. I want to stay on the platform or whatever. And then like they've been getting passed. So yes, I started making a lot more content on there. But like I was about to backtrack on Instagram being, I think, the #1 tool right now for spreading whatever product or message you have in the knife community. I think Instagram is still #1, but I think for the younger audience,
they're all on TikTok, man.
They're all on and what's crazy is like I posted a TikTok video today on this knife, the Tucson Jaeger by Vitesse Design.
Oh
I kind of wish this was smaller, actually.
Yeah, that looks
Yeah,
I
it
like
looks
that.
cool.
I saw your post on that
Yeah,
together
yeah,
with
yeah.
the
Attack on
anime.
Titan and all that. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
So
exactly.
I posted this, a different one. It was just like a short video explaining what it was, and there was legit knife people like on the comments. They were like, "Oh yeah, he's like," because people were like making fun of my band-aids or whatever, right? I have a thumbnail. That's why I have them. And
Yeah, yeah.
people are making fun of my band-aids. They always do that on TikTok. But like actual knife
Uh,
guys that I didn't know that just started following me today were defending me. They were like, "Nah, dude, you don't understand. Cutting yourself is real knife guy shit. Like when you go into a knife shop and you play with a knife and you cut yourself and you feel like you have to buy it because you got your blood on it, then you're a real knife guy." Like people were
dude,
standing up for me. And
I
yeah,
yep, one of the last brick and mortars I was in, I felt like
yeah.
a fucking scrub because I cut myself within about 5 seconds, and I didn't want to buy the knife because I was like, this is like it was so nasty, and so I was just trying to pinch myself hella hard to keep from blood spewing out
Yeah.
because I didn't cut it super bad, so I
Yeah.
just holding the pressure down
Oh man.
and actually
So
and in
funny.
my area there's not many brick and mortars, so
Same here. I mean, New
it's
York
like
City, there's,
yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, there used to be like Canal Cutlery, right? That had the gentlemen's folders and
I've been to Canal Cutlery, and they do have it. It's nothing like the selection that you would see, like for example, somebody goes to a knife shop in like Oregon or something, or like Utah or
yeah,
whatever, right? It's nothing like that where they have this big selection of Spydercos and Benchmades. It's like just randomly, like kind of almost randomly purchased things
yeah,
and brands that you've never heard. A lot of M-Techy kind of stuff, a lot of that. Um,
yeah.
they have Dick's Sporting Goods and Paragon Sports, I think, is like the only kind of brand. Some of the outdoor shops, like I don't know how to say it. It's like Fall Raven or something. It's like a Swedish,
Oh
you know what I'm
yeah,
talking about, right? Like they have one in
yeah.
New York City.
The
And
backpacks are hella
yeah, yeah,
big.
yeah. They
Yeah,
have like they showcase like fixed blades and also like James brand that company.
yeah. That makes
A
a lot of
guy
sense.
that works at the New York City shop in Soho in New York City is going to be on my podcast this Wednesday.
Oh,
So,
right
dude,
on.
is this the first podcast you've ever been on?
Yep, yep,
And
yep.
this is your first time doing a face reveal too, or?
Yeah.
Oh shit!
Man, I'm not like
Thank you, man.
yeah, I'm not doing it on purpose. I think
Yeah,
one clip on my Instagram page it had
yeah.
I put some skating clips just because my
Oh,
brother
cool,
had got
dude.
to the skate park and just like
Yeah.
old man day at the skate park, and I just because I was like, man, I'm getting old. I need you come through and film a few clips of me just
Yeah.
before I get too old and decrepit to hold it down. So he did one, and I'm a music producer. I used to do it for a living, and
What
so
did you
I
produce?
man, I used to actually be signed to a NY label, Uncommon. It
What
was
did you? Was it like hip hop? Did you produce like
yeah,
like?
underground hip hop. It was
Yeah.
basically like I got signed in 2001. I'd sent a demo to Def Jux. It was when that label was still around, LP's label, from like Run the Jewels and
Yeah. Oh shit.
no fame, like New York legend. And
Hmm.
one of his main engineers and producers, NASA, who's my homie. I mean, NASA's, oh man, just one of the illest dudes
Yeah.
out there. It was I'd sent in a demo, and he was starting up his offshoot label, Uncommon at the time. And I guess because of some of the artwork, my beat CD had kind of made it to LPs like don't throw it away immediately pile, like take it
Yeah.
home and
Yeah.
check it
Yeah.
out. Like I guess according to NASA, they had like three
Yeah.
piles, like the whatever, like toss
Yeah. Yeah.
pile, and then the pile like, dude, there might be something here, like this
Yeah.
just seems
Yeah.
like it has potential. And then the ones that they already knew about, like their homies sending them heat or whatever that they knew to look out for already, or like that an A&R from another label might have big up them too. It was like, oh no, this dude's sending you some shit. So anyway, mine luckily got, I think because the artwork, like I was a painter. I went to UCSD for a master's in fine art back in the day, and
That's
I was just
dope.
super into fine art, that kind of thing. And basically so I'd done the artwork for the cover of the CD. I mean, this was back in the day when, yeah, that was how you did it, was
Yeah.
sending a physical CD. And so I
Yeah.
had
I was there.
cover art and a graphic that was just from my paintings and stuff. And and that I guess attracted their attention. And then LP, I guess I don't even know if he had listened to anything, but anyway, my stuff made it to the pile of like, oh, this,
There might be
don't throw it
something
away,
here.
check it out, might be something. And so NASA, he produced a lot of stuff for Jux, but was also their in-house engineer, would record and mix a lot of the Def Jux releases, a lot of Aesop Rock stuff.
Oh shit.
He was a pretty legendary engineer on his own right. Had done a lot of like it was like Mike Ladd and some of these like kind of experimental MCs, like early 90s type of dudes, but basically anyway, he ended up with my CD and was like, so within a couple of weeks of sending this demo out, he just emailed me and was like, yo, what's up? I'm starting this new label, come join. So anyway, for a long ass time, I was just producing stuff. I was just sending beats to him and different folks on the label, and it was dope. It was just a hard time to make a living. It was when download culture had started to really dominate, and so I'd hear all these stories like, damn, dude, you should have been there back when it'd be stuff like, oh, Triple Fat Goose would just come through the Def Jux thing offices with boxes of stuff just passing out shit, and just it was just product and money was flowing hella much, and I came in right after that ended, so I felt like it was kind of a weird era, but it was dope. It was like I don't know, it was just fun because I got to go from like being like a fan of a lot of these dudes to working with a lot of them who I'd just basically jocked hella hard, and just it was just cool to be part of it, and especially going out to NY to visit. We'd be like, NASA would just be taking me around, like going to New York City. NASA.
You came to New York City before?
Yeah, it was like my wife has some
what year
family
was that?
What's that?
What year was that?
Well, I'm trying to think. Let's see. I got signed in 2001, so I think by 2002 was when I started to make pilgrimages out there.
Yeah.
And we'd usually stay at my wife's cousin used to live before, but it was actually it was before 9/11. She lived right at Ground Zero, and right around there. And I think even immediately after that, but then moved to Jersey to it's a spot like 45 minutes out the city by train. Maplewood. So she lives in Maplewood, and we'd stay there. Or my wife's uncle, he was like a corporate lawyer and had like a spot like right next to the UN heliport, like midtown, right next to the fucking
the UN,
the big ass river, the East River.
And like maybe I want to say around 49th, 58th Street.
It was a little bit down from there. It was like I just remember it was hella close to Mad Curry spots that were bomb as fuck.
Dude, I know exactly what you're talking about. So that's good. I worked around there before.
Good.
Yeah.
Super. I love Indian food. So
Me too. I love it. I love it. Absolutely love it. Do you like spicy food?
Yeah. I like even though I used to, I don't know, I think of myself as loving like the highest levels of heat until I started to realize, nah, I just wasn't exposed to the highest levels of heat. My brother, my twin brother Teo, he's or I should really reference my sister Dee now, my new sister-in-law, or not new, but she's from Laos, and basically she eats food so hot. Laotian food,
like the sambal type stuff, right? Yeah,
with these homemade hot sauces. She actually just dropped off a bunch of produce and some homemade hot sauce, but it'll be stuff like she'll be putting like hella things in. I put it one little drop, and I'll be like, oh, and I'll start to get the hiccups hella crazy. And so I started to realialize that. I used to think of myself as really being able to hang with hot food, but I realized that the upper echelons. Oh, and also like
it's hard.
It was going to some restaurants where I was dared to order things Asian spicy, and I'm half Chinese, but at the same time, I didn't grow up eating that much super hot Chinese food. My mom didn't really cook it super hot, but especially going to like Indian restaurants and asking it for it as hot as they eat it, I can't eat it. It's just crazy. So anyway, so I like hot food, but I realize within limits, because I'll just get the hiccups and I can't even hold it down. But yeah, definitely like it fiery, and I like to cook a lot myself too, and like to make stuff fiery, and
I like it like at an enjoyable level where it's like spicy and it kind of makes me go like that, but then it's like still has flavor. Because I did a show when I hit 1,000 subs finally on YouTube. I did you know the show Hot Ones on YouTube? where they eat spicy chicken wings. So
Dude, I've heard about it, but I
yeah,
haven't seen it yet. It was one of my students.
so
Yeah.
I
Mhm.
did the same thing. I called it Sharp Ones, and basically we accumulated fan questions. So
Mhm.
with every wing, from wing 1 to 10, the wings get spicier, and with every wing, I answer a question. And at the
Oh,
at the very end, you know how they measure spiciness with Scoville, right? That's what
yeah,
it's called.
yeah.
The last wing had the hot sauce is 2 million Scoville. So I was like just like
Oh,
drooling, and like it was great though. I'm probably gonna do it again when I hit 2000, which is gonna be pretty soon.
dude,
Yeah,
I'm
it's
a
fun.
tune in.
My girl was the host, and like we had a big table, and then it was pretty funny. It was pretty funny. I liked it, man. To
That's
backtrack on the mods with the blade chops and stuff. How long does it normally take you to do one?
man. If everything goes smoothly, it usually takes me about 2 days of like working about maybe 2 to 3 hours per day. Like I'll usually like the chop. I'm just using a little Dremel, these thin cutting wheels,
Yeah,
and on a normal blade stock, like or like I guess normal is kind of a relative term, but like say I'll bet the knife I've chopped the most is the Spyderco Smock,
hmm,
and that kind of what is that 3 millimeter blade stock I'm thinking anyway, and so not super thin, but not super thick by any chance by any
yeah.
stretch. That one it's only a few minutes to do the actual chop, like the actual like
Really, to
I'll just
cut
take
the
things off and cut it. So I'm thinking maybe
damn.
about 10 minutes to cut through, but then it's all the shaping and the
Yeah,
shaping that takes the longest. So the actual, I'll tape everything off with painter's tape. I just do a lot of nerding out. I'm trying to get maximize blade length and the handle length, and tape off the handles and the blade, and try to play around with that a little bit. And then basically, so the chop takes pretty quick, but then it's all the shaping
the
and
finishing
grinding.
and all that, like,
Yeah, or like it's like
yeah,
chopping. It's just gonna be straight angles, but
right.
then actually shaping it right. And that takes
Damn.
usually a good. I'm thinking a couple hours of But and the main thing for me is like I don't have a real good grinder. I have like a cheap Harbor Freight one, but then I
Yeah.
also have a secret weapon that's like it's basically I realized with the Harbor Freight one, it's even on the lowest speed setting, it spins so fast that you can burn the shit out of your blades really easy, and
Yeah.
especially if you're anywhere close to the cutting edge. Man, it's just real easy to scorch your blades and mess up the heat treat and whatnot.
Yeah.
But my dad had gotten me this belt sander for like it's like a Makita hand sander with a
Yeah.
flat top on it. I can't remember what the dimensions are. It's like maybe a 4x8, is that what it
Yeah.
is? Anyway, but it's really no knife dudes use it because it's just this cheap thing for just sanding off. Oh, I want to refinish this this windowsill, and you're just like stripping off the paint or whatever,
Yeah.
or using it to resand different stuff. But basically, I started to realize I was just messing around with it because I had it there, and it works way better for finishing sanding than that
Wow.
it's like this cheap Harbor Freight one, 2x72. Anyway, it's a little shitty grinder, but just because it didn't get so hot, and so with
Yeah.
some fine grit belts, I could just
Yep.
it takes way longer, but I could just get better finishes. And
Yeah.
so I basically that's what takes me the longest is just shaping it, and then the next day I'll usually go in and just start hand sanding everything, and then that spend a good couple hours doing that. It's but it's it definitely depends. Like so that's like if everything goes right. The main thing is like a lot of times things don't go right. Oh,
Yeah.
the other thing is installing the pocket clips. It's pocket clips and drilling, tapping titanium, and especially, but
Yeah.
also hardened steel. It's just a bitch, man. It's like snapping taps happens real readily,
Wow.
and basically that's probably the thing that has given me the biggest headaches. Like before I went on Instagram, like when I was just doing the mods on Reddit, I wouldn't even do the pocket clips for cats because I felt too like I just wasn't experienced at it
Yeah.
enough. I'd be
Right.
like,
Right.
nah,
Right.
you got to get someone else to do that. I'm not doing it.
Hmm.
But basically, then I was like, oh, when I went on Instagram and all of a sudden was just getting a lot more orders and was like, no, I
Yeah.
need to work it out. And I had worked it out before I went to IG, but that's what kind of like made it more like nah, because everyone who wanted it chopped, man, most people want a pocket clip, and so
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
so basically the main hurdle hurdle for me was learning how to drill and tap titanium. I was just fucking
Damn.
snapping bits just titanium is weird. It gets like gummy and it binds things up, and but then
Wow.
also tapping it, man, I'd just be snapping taps off, and the taps would break off from the handles, and then I'd be like, what do I do now? And so it'd be like, man, thanks to YouTube, it was like going on to it was John Grimsmo, dude. He has a
Okay. Okay. Yeah.
channel. I mean, he's so knowledgeable, and so basically I realized, I could get some ferric chloride that cats use to acid stonewash blades, which I actually just yesterday started playing around with too. But before I got a bunch of it just to start dissolving broken taps, because it turns out it'll zap a steel, but it won't touch the tie. It won't touch. I mean, that stuff is weird. It just won't touch most traditional handle materials. Micarta, nah, won't do anything to micarta. G10, nah. Titanium, it'll just mess with steel. So you can use it to do a lot of cool things. Like, man, just use it to dissolve out taps that have been stuck in the handle. So that was my biggest hurdle was figuring out how to install pocket clips without, man, just snapping hella shit and
That's
just
crazy.
spinning hella long.
I didn't know that you worked with the scales too. Like, I mean, look, I'm a beginner in this knife hobby. Like, I've been in it for about maybe 4.5 years, but like, I feel like I have learned absolutely nothing. Right? It's funny because I have a YouTube channel where I put up videos almost every single day, but I don't know a lot about things. I don't know a lot about heat treats. I don't know a lot about even certain parts, what this is called, what that is called. I am strictly an aesthetic, action, and ergonomics guy. Those are the main selling points for me. That's why I fell in love with your channel, because I was like, man, this guy's blade modifications look like almost like done by a machine. But then now I'm in shock hearing that you do everything by hand with machines. I mean, but you don't have like big machinery. You're just using a Dremel tool, a sander, and that it's crazy that you get that kind of quality with that.
Man, I appreciate it. I appreciate it.
Dude.
Yeah, I was starting to make some videos because it was actually man, one of my I don't want to say it's one of my clients. It just sounds hella weird like that, but one of the partners through Reddit who was hiring me to do some chops, and he was asking me a lot of questions. This is my man Wolf was asking me if I could share some of the info, and basically I was realizing, man, I should be documenting some of this on video and that kind of thing.
That was
and
the next
to be
thing
honest,
I was
I was kind of embarrassed because I was like, man, my setup's so bootsy and just kind of janky. Whereas, like, I'll go to Grimsmo's channel and just be like, damn, dude, like you got a real work,
but
and the average person. Yeah, exactly. I was realizing, you know what, man, I should actually be proud of, man, I should do it with all I have is a hacksaw and a pair of pliers, what, and just do like caveman shots. Let's see what's up. So, but I was starting to document it, but I realized that because when I went and reviewed the footage, because man, I'm actually a media arts teacher, and so like I'm real into shooting video, editing it, that kind of thing. And so I set up some just one like my phone camera, and basically realized, man, my angles were sucking so badly when it was time to edit that I started to abandon ship. And I first started I went through a couple incarnations, like I'd taken a bunch of stills, and then that was taking me too long because I was nerding out too much on it. I'd be chopping out. No, let me get this angle right. And then I was like, let me set up a tripod, put my I wasn't trying to set up multiple angles, which I think would be kind of necessary to do it right. And then I just abandoned. Oh, and then I fucking cut myself hella bad. I'd basically been doing a mod, and I sliced open my hand, just adjusting a light. I was just being a scrub and not taping off the blade. I was just gonna, I think, finish sanding the spine off. And so I should have had the blade taped. And I was just adjusting a light, went bloop, and went,
oh, damn.
whoa, and just it turned out like my wife basically helped. She basically gave me the crazy glue butterfly bandage treatment.
Where was the cut?
It was basically, you can't even see the scar. I mean, it was basically right here.
Oh, so
It basically was bleeding a lot, but
that's the part that'll bleed a lot, I would assume.
she's pretty capable and basically handled cool, slept through the
Yeah.
night. It wasn't bleeding out, or wasn't opening up again. But the next morning it was, and then
Yeah.
and it wouldn't stop bleeding, and so she forced me to go into the hospital and get stitches. I hate fucking hospitals, man. They I just feel like they're like the crypts of death, like just the smell, the lighting. I'm like,
yeah, it smells weird. Yeah,
so, so anyway, it took a lot of her goading me. Because she tried again, it was still opening up. So I basically went in. They had to run me through all the COVID stuff, and I was just like, just feeling hella weird about being in the hospital. But
I would
they
feel really weird if I had to go to the hospital right now, man.
Yeah, it was pretty creepy,
Yeah.
And basically that almost immediately the doctor was like, dude, good thing you came in here because you actually nicked the artery. She's like, watch it, geyser. And I was like, I'm kind of like one of those people who gets hella queasy when I see my own blood in big amounts. I'm used to seeing it in small amounts, knife.
But
people,
if it's big,
But when it's big amounts, like I got hurt skating one time where a kid bailed his board into my leg.
Oh,
and I looked down after unpeeling my bloody ass pants and saw about that much of my bone.
Oh,
and I almost fainted. I was one of those people like, well, what should be inside my body is now outside my body. I'm gonna not do well with that. So she was like stitching me up and was like, watch it, geyser. And I was like, no, I'm gonna look away. She's like gleefully, she's like an ER doctor and kind of gnarlier than I am. Just crazy shit. So I was like, no, I'm not trying to watch it, geyser. But anyway, but it healed up quick. But it kind of put me. It was in the middle of when I was trying to make these documentaries on some of the.
You should, but remember this, right? One piece of advice that I've seen on YouTube was, perfection is poison on YouTube. And for a person like yourself, right, I would understand if you had the pedigree of these big cinematographers on YouTube, like Peter McKinnon or something like that, where they're doing these B-roll shots that are amazing. That's different. I think for you and your business, what's important is to document versus creating.
Yeah.
There's a girl that you should check out. Her page is called The Knife's Meow.
Oh,
The Knife's Meow is her YouTube channel. She just started like not even a month ago, but she's been modding knives with her boyfriend Richie. Her name is Lindy, and they mod knives. They mainly work on scales, anodizing, cracked ice finishes, things like that. And talking to you right now, actually, my content creator gear started turning, and I want to try to get a project together where I take some of the modders that have been on this podcast, and I will donate a knife for everyone to work on, and then I will review it. And in turn, like, everyone will get like a splash collaboration, spreading awareness type thing.
Yeah.
And, I would love for you to do a chop, and then I would love for them to like do something with the scales, and then maybe Neve's Knives, which is a pretty big channel. Jared has been doing a lot of like sharpening, like really sick stuff. Maybe have him, finish it at the end, and then I will like showcase it and do some great. Yeah, I think that would be really cool. That's never been done on knife YouTube. I'm all about doing stuff that's out of the norm for knife like content creators. Like I do funny stuff. Yeah, I think that'll be so amazing. And then after I finish the video, we could all get together on a podcast and talk about like everyone's process and like what had to happen. I think that'll be really sick, man.
Dude, that sounds super tight, man. Definitely count me in.
Because I've had all of you. Now that I've had you, I've had Lindy Lou and Richie B on my podcast before. I've had Neve's Knives on twice already, and then you've been on here. I think that'll be a fucking really rad thing to do, and I think everyone's audiences would enjoy it too. You know what I mean?
For real. Like, and I think I'm just really into collaboration too, just as just a human strategy. Yeah. And I love it, man. Yeah. It's Brand Cron on Instagram. He's a knife collector and was one of my first dudes who commissioned me to chop stuff on Reddit back in the day. he used to hire me to do mods, and then this cat Ryan Milligan, who hasn't been really in effect for the last few years, to my knowledge, but we would basically do kind of collabo mods for Brandcron, and basically like I would chop it, and in the first one, it was before the Para 3 came out. One of my first was getting some buzz on Reddit. Was I was chopping Para 2s down into like a sheep's foot style Para, like it's the same size as a Para 3.
That's crazy.
But the main thing that was kind of whack was like the now on the Para 2, no, sorry, on the Para 3, the liners are inset from the scales, and on the Para 2, they're flush, right? And so basically, it meant that the chops would kind of, or wait, I think I'm remembering it wrong. It's like part of it on the Para 2, I think part of it is flush, part of it's not. Anyway, I would chop it, and the back end would be flush, whereas the bottom of the handle wouldn't. So it just looked kind of uneven. You know, it looked less than factory. So what Milligan would do was make scales with that line, with the recessed liner, like have that guard built. So he basically made custom scales, so it looked super factory for my Para 2 chops. And he only made a couple pairs, but and I fucking sold that knife too. Now I'm like, because I kind of figured, this is gonna be an ongoing thing. I can get new scales when I want, and chop a new one for myself or whatever. So I ended up selling it, and then Ryan kind of just went off the face of the planet. I'm not sure what happened to my boy, and so now I'm kind of bummed. I should have just held on to that. but it was I did another one for Brandcron. It was the Whale Rescue. That it was that big ass blade only that Spyderco was releasing, a big serrated blade, like I don't know, like huge, you know, it's like a machete size thing. And so he wanted to have me just re-chop the edge of the tip of it for so that he could use it for yard work. And then he had Milligan make a handle for it. And so he made a dope, like this is an orange G10 one. And they ended up sending it to Nick Shabazz, and I'm pretty sure Shabazz reviewed it. Just as a kind of like a novelty, like, check out this thing my boy sent me for, you know, for a quick second.
He's probably like, oh my God, you know how he sounds?
But I was hyped. And also I had another encounter with Nick Shabazz. We're not, you know, I shouldn't say encounter, but, you know, it was one of my students, because I'm a media arts teacher for middle school and high school kids. And basically one of my students, Durank, he was about to graduate. This was like, thinking maybe 5 years ago.
So you're a media arts teacher. That's what you do for a living.
Yeah, that's my day job.
What do you teach exactly? What does that entail, media arts?
Well, it started off, I was basically, you know, producing music, you know, making beats for cats, and I'd been hired to make a soundtrack for this. It was this crazy ass documentary called Fruits of War. It was a documentary on the Mara Salvatrucha, the street gang from El Salvador, and basically my homie Josiah Hooper, who was the director, had basically been down in El Salvador for like, I think 4 years, following around a bunch of dudes and telling their story. And it was essentially like, it was just some gnarly stories telling about how America had essentially funded this civil war in El Salvador, created this whole generation of cats growing up with serious warfare skills, giving them amnesty back in the States. And a lot of them had moved to LA, where there's a lot of Salvadorians, and basically had just started what turned into the biggest street gang in the world as a way to just protect themselves on the streets and shit. It was crazy. A lot of them got deported, and so I was basically just watching clips and scoring it, and some of it.
So like you were making the musical score for the documentary.
Yeah, and so he had, so I was scoring it, and then he was like, man, he'd come over to the crib to just check out some stuff that I'd made for his film, and he was noticing I was using the same software. At that point, I was using Reason to do a lot of my basic compositions before I dumped them into Pro Tools and started getting down. And basically
that's the OG shit right there. Is if you're using Reason and Pro Tools, because I produce music too.
Oh, hell yeah!
I was in the opposite side of the spectrum, where I was in the dance music scene for 10 years. You know, I DJ'd at some of the biggest places in New York City. I spun at Electric Daisy Carnival. I spun there.
Hell yeah!
And you know, I got into it, and I went to school at Dubspot, which is a music school in New York City for production.
Oh,
And
right on.
I was using Ableton, and that's what I use. But like whenever you hear
That's my
somebody
yeah.
whenever you hear somebody like uses Pro Tools and Reason, I'm like, that's the OG shit right there. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
and actually
Yeah.
now, like my music classes, we went all Ableton
Ableton.
just this
Ableton is
year,
so easy. It's like click and drag. So that's why I love it. You just press
and
tab to go to the other side. Like it's
yeah,
why I love it. It's why I
I
love it.
love it
Yeah.
too, and
Yeah.
I mean, a lot of my students want me to go to FL because a lot of like especially kids want to make
FL's
trap
big right
beats.
now.
They
Yeah.
love
FL.
FL.
My partner who I produce with, he was an FL user. So I
Mhm.
was the guy that like basically made the melodies and kind of like the rhythm of the song, right? And then he would
Yeah,
like master everything. He was like the sound engineer. I was the
right
guy that
on.
kind of like I didn't have classical music training, but I kind of know
Okay.
what sounded weird and what didn't, right? You know what I
Hell
mean?
yeah,
Like so I would just like lay out like a full song or whatever, and then like he would just like use, oh, let's use this instrument here, and he would like
yeah.
master everything, right? But
It's
he was an
super
FL
dope.
user, and I think with FL, like it was easier to get like a big sound. I think that's why
Mhm.
people gravitate towards it so much. But now I
Yeah.
haven't been in the game in so long. Like I when I'm on TikTok, I see FL producers, and I'm like, damn, they're doing some crazy shit now, man. Like I don't
Yeah,
even understand
it's
it anymore.
definitely
Like,
the
damn.
fastest DAW to mess with,
It's yeah,
'Cause
exactly. It's a DAW. Yeah, yeah. For
to
people that
be
don't
honest,
know,
like
the DAW is like the software that you're using
yeah,
to right
yeah,
there.
exactly. Yeah, the digital audio workstation for
Yeah,
real. And
exactly.
it's like and basically yeah, I'm just so old school that I just remember FL as being Fruity Loops. That's what
Yeah,
FL stands
Fruity
for.
Loops.
And it was
Stop
just like
calling it that.
it was for fools with no skills, just put together
Yeah,
prefab loops at first. So
yeah,
I
yeah.
clowned the shit out of it. I'd be like, oh
Hmm.
yeah, only whack ass motherfuckers use FL or use Fruity Loops. But then it evolved into something way different. And
Exactly.
so
Yeah.
so now but it took me a while, old dogs
Yeah.
and new tricks. So I'd have a
Yep.
lot of students going, oh, can't we get some licenses for FL? And I'd be talking hell of shit. And then I was like, you know what, dude? All right, we got some more money in because I started to realize like the school would have a budget for me that they wouldn't necessarily tell me about. So at the end of the year, I could hit them up for hella gear purchases and that kind of thing. And once I started to realize, oh, that's the pattern, I would talk to some of these cats who'd want stuff and go, all right, hold on a sec, let me do a little research, and I might be able to get it for you or for us at the end of the year. So I basically started nerding out on that and realized, oh, they've come a long way,
Hmm.
and yeah, so I ended up getting a couple licenses, and now I respect for it. But I deliberately call it Fruity Loops for different kids. I'm like, nah,
It was
that's
called Fruity
Fruity
Loops
Loops.
before.
That's Fruity Loops
Yeah.
because it just it sounded as
Yeah.
toy as I felt that
Like when
program was.
I got into this partnership with this guy, right? He called the Fruity Loops too, man. You know what I'm saying? Like it
That's the old school shit for real.
yeah, like I think it was
So,
like FL Studio like 3 he was using. That's like way back, man. You know,
mhm.
I think I started on like Ableton 5 or something like that. Like,
Yeah.
yeah, that's when I started, you know.
And much love for Ableton. Like,
Yeah.
and to be honest, it was like I was hearing so many cats who were big up in Ableton that were only EDM producers. That for
Yeah.
a while I was like, oh no, that's just what EDM dudes use. And I was like, and just being hella closed minded, like, no, what tool is made for only one genre of music? Like, that don't make
Yeah.
sense. But I was just
It's
kind of
really
closed
good
minded.
for live shit too, I think. You know, like bands and shit use Ableton.
Hell yeah, and
It's really good for
obviously like
live shit, I think.
For DJ,
Hmm.
virtual sets, you can
Yeah, yeah, yep.
because you
A
can
lot of people do
beat
that.
count and even does a bad job of it, but kind of sense what key you're in
You
and
gotta manually kind
transpositions.
of, yeah, like warp the shit. You know what I mean? Or else,
Yeah. But man, I love it, and definitely,
me too.
I was realizing because for a while, for the last probably 3 years, it was actually before lockdown. I would teach my music classes with Reason as the main tool, but then usually second semester when we get into remixing and doing stuff like that, and actually some aspects of just how to mix down some tracks,
Dude,
I'd
that's
always have them
dope.
dump stuff down into Ableton just because Reason, man, you can't mix shit in Reason. It's
It's I
really whack for
Yeah,
that. Pro
yeah.
Tools is still the environment I love. I like to mix in the most, but I
Mhm.
hate making beats and composing original ideas in Pro
Mhm.
Tools. It's whack for that.
Yeah.
So now I don't really touch it since I'm
I
not
think
really.
Ableton is really easy to put an idea down.
Yeah,
Like
and I
so
actually, even
easy.
though it's limited in what it can do mixing wise, I actually really like how mixing in Ableton. Even though a true engineer would be like, no, you can't mix in that because of how it handles mono tracks. It doesn't
Yep.
defaults to stereo, which takes away some of the control. You have to do extra shit to mono out.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. Like you have to do extra shit to do stuff sometimes, you know, where it's like, oh, in
Yeah,
FL I just do this, or like in Logic I just
yeah,
do this.
yeah,
You know what
yeah.
I mean? That's
But
another one. Like Logic is like another big one.
yeah, Logic. I love Logic in terms of the name because I felt like it's the most illogical program ever laid out. But it sounds hell of good, and it
It
does
does. It
everything. Like
does. Yeah.
I went for a while where I was trying to. It was basically when I was getting bored of Reason and realizing, nah, I need to figure out something that has good MIDI stuff, but can allow you a lot more freedom and can host VSTs because Reason used to
Hmm.
be limited or maybe still
Yeah.
is. I haven't messed with it in a while, but anyway,
Yeah.
so I was exploring a lot of different DAWs and nerded out hella hard on Logic because I love
Yeah.
the sound of it. I felt like their audio
Hmm.
engine in
Big.
Logic, like man, I'd just try out like importing beat stems into there, and shit would sound large in
Yeah.
Logic. And
Yep.
basically, what also just felt like, man, a lot of stuff like it was just a real deep program that could give me the
Hmm.
sound that I wanted, but it'd take me fucking like 5-10 times longer than other DAWs. I was like, nah, I can't do this just as a and like even like oh actually yeah, I can kind of see my little tiny equipment rack right here that I hardly ever use.
Wow,
Anyway,
yo.
and so I felt like Logic to incorporate hardware was like fucking abysmally shit, and so
Yeah.
like you just had to do like 3 times the labor to
Hmm.
get outboard. Like compression was my main thing, like that
Yeah. Yeah.
those are all fucking compressors because it was like
Yep.
I wasn't EQ was too expensive for my blood,
Yeah.
but I realized man I could nerd out and get some banging ass compressors that you couldn't
Yeah.
touch in plugins. And so yeah, I would yeah, I'd be definitely into that.
Did you
Now
know
I'm
what's
just too
crazy?
lazy.
You know how I got Nick Shabazz on the show? So
Mm-hmm.
I did a podcast with a dude, Alex's Knife Box. Shout out to Alex. And
Mm.
he does a podcast called Sharp Talk. I found Sharp Talk first, and then I hit him up and I was like, yo, do you want to do a podcast together? We're both podcasting in the knife, like community.
Hell yeah.
And he was like, bro, I love trance music. He's like a big EDM head, like a dance music head. So we
Right
got
on.
on like that. Nick Shabazz hits me up on Instagram one night and he was like, dude, I love trance, Sasha and Digweed. I'm like, what the fuck? And then I'm like, do you want to do a podcast? And he's like this, would you be ready in 45 minutes? Dude, I
Oh
canceled
shit.
fucking everything I had. Like my girl just cooked dinner. And I was like, put that shit away.
You know?
Yeah, I was like, I'm doing
Yeah.
this podcast with Nick Shabazz. Even she knew, oh, that's the dude, and he loves progressive trance music. That's like his thing,
Oh,
man.
that's
Which is
so hot because
insane, dude.
he's an acoustic engineer, right? Isn't that
I don't
his
know. I don't know. I think so. He's mentioned something like that on his channel before. I
yeah,
didn't
some
touch on
little
it on my
Mhm.
podcast because he was like, I don't want to talk about work before we recorded. So I was respecting his wishes. But I know in when I was watching his channel in the earlier days when he was like not as big as he is now, he was like,
Mhm.
yeah, I kind of do something with audio.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
he's like, that's why I love the 4x4 beat structure of dance music because it's just like simple. You could work and not have to deal with a lot of stuff. So he likes like
Uh-huh.
Sasha and Digweed, progressive trance, things like that. That's what he
Oh,
likes.
that's such a
I'm like,
trip, man.
damn. And that's how I
That's
got him
super
on here, dude.
cool.
It's crazy.
Yeah. Oh man, I connected with Shabazz through Reddit one
Yeah.
time because one of my students he was about to graduate, and I had to make my school is a small school. It's like only like a little under 400 kids for
Yeah.
a full like 6th through 12th grade or whatever. And so our graduations are hella meaningful with like we make speeches for each kid. Each kid gets to make their own gets to talk individually. And one of my jobs for the kids that I was speaking for was getting them a little gag gift, a little
Hmm.
graduation kind of like usually just some little funny dollar store type of shit.
Yeah.
Um, But Drank, he had seen one of the times I was in school, and normally I won't have my knives clipped to my pocket if I bring
Yeah.
one in, because just school rules, it's
Yeah,
pretty.
right.
But I happened to have I think it was it was a Benchmade 940 that I chopped, and I had it clipped to my pocket. He's like,
Nice.
"That's a Benchmade," and I was like,
Oh shit.
"What?" And it's every now and then,
Dude.
students will be, into knives,
Yeah.
and catch me slipping if I have a clip, or like
Yeah.
mention it, and I'll be like, "Hey," and we'll start talking knives. But Drank was one of the few ones that I kind of vibed with pretty hard,
Yeah.
and he kind of busted me out seeing that clip on my pocket, and so he was trying to um um oh yeah, he was just trying to scheme on, because once he heard that I was doing that,
Blade
that I was
chops.
chopping knives, he was trying so hard to figure out if he could weasel on me giving that to him for his graduation present. But I'm like, it's not happening, homie. Sorry. But I found out real fast that he was a huge Nick Shabazz fan. I was like,
Yeah.
whoa. And so basically I just reached out to Nick, because he was a moderator on the knife swap, or maybe it was one of the knife Reddit threads.
Yeah.
He was a moderator for, so I was like, oh, I could probably get his attention. And I was like, man, my student, I just kind of laid him out the background, and
Yeah.
man, one of my students is a big fan of yours, and if you just like give him a graduation, like, congratulations, Drank, like a little message or something like that, it'll like make his day. At least
Yeah.
I think I'm remembering this right.
Yeah.
And instead, he's like, dude, I'm gonna send you a Z Hunter, a signed Z Hunter, and he ended up sending two of them,
What?
like one for me and one
Oh
for Drank.
my.
So I was like, oh man, much love to Nick Shabazz.
Dude, Z
It was like,
Hunter.
it was just it was such a powerful thing. One
That's
thing that he messed up
amazing,
on, though,
man.
is whatever pen he used to sign it
Yeah.
um, wasn't permanent on that, and so I was trying to I think it was packaged. Oh, I'd opened it up and I was trying to repackage it for Drank, and
Yeah.
that wiping off part of the signature, and I was like, oh no. So I ended up having to give Drank mine with the unblemished signature. So I still have it in a but man, I think I've got it right back there somewhere. But I
Yeah.
got the signed
That's
Z.
awesome, dude.
But I got to give it to him as this graduation present. He started crying, and I knew he was gonna. He was an
Wow.
emotional kid, and so I'd set up a
Yeah.
camera. I was like, I'm gonna film Drake. He's gonna show some proper sign of gratitude, and
Yeah.
I'll share it with Nick Shabazz. And
Dude.
so I just sent him. I sent him some stills of like Drake, just like you can tell he's just so emotional, just like just gassing out,
Oh
like.
man.
And so I sent him that, but I couldn't. Something went wrong with the video, and I remember I'd promised Nick that
Yeah.
I'd send him the video, and that
Dude,
didn't work.
you gotta make a YouTube channel, man. I think that
Yeah,
not only would it be beneficial for your side business, but also for you, because I have never done a podcast with someone who wants to talk as much as me. Like, you're the first person, and I could literally talk
yeah.
to you for probably another 2 hours. But I'm gonna give you this.
Yeah,
I'm gonna give you this piece
I
of
was knowing
advice
we were gonna
here.
vibe together. Just seeing your
Yeah,
other,
I'm
seeing your
silly and
channels
laid
and your
back. That's
Instagram. I was
just how
like,
I am.
I always felt like some of the knife dudes, reviewers, makers, they seem like they're coming from a different planet
Yeah.
as I am, but I could always tell like that I would vibe with you just right off the
You know
bat.
what it is, dude?
Um,
It's, I think, like, we're both like creative spirits, and I think that's why we vibe well together. Because, like, look, you
yeah.
produce music, I did. I like love creative endeavors. Like, you were like saying how you love you love doing collaborations. We're gonna set that up for sure, because I think that's gonna be huge for everybody. But what I
Yeah.
was saying with you starting a channel, I think you should do it, because you could do like the way Lindy does her channel, The Nice Meow, is she doesn't necessarily show what she's doing with the modifications,
Mhm.
but she'll just do it vlog style. Like, yeah, so today I'm gonna mod this Tucson and this Tucson TS80, and
Uh-huh.
someone wants me to stonewash this TRM Neutron, right?
Uh-huh.
And this is the gear that I'm going to use for it right now, and and then she just doesn't do it, like, she doesn't show the whole process, right? but
Oh,
but but
uh-huh.
she's just
Uh-huh.
and then maybe she'll show the end result. This is this in another video, and I think you
Mhm.
should do that, because not only does it document your work for people that follow you, but also for yourself. Think of it as like a digital, like, journal almost. That's how I treat my channel. I keep pretty
Yeah.
close with my audience. I update them on what's going on in my life. Like, you know, like I
Mhm.
got engaged last year. Like my girl proposed to me. I told everyone to the channel
Congra-
that. Yeah, like
Right on. Congratulations,
dude,
brother.
she
Yeah.
proposed to me. Like it was crazy. But you know, I do things like that.
Hell
I
yeah.
vlog around the city. That's how I do my thing. The way Lindy does it is she'll just show like sometimes she shows her cats, like, oh shit, my cat's in the shop, like being crazy, and like, oh, this is a spider code that I'm working on the clip for this guy. Like that's how she does
I
it. I
yeah,
think
I
that would
do.
be really good for you. It'll humanize Bladechops,
Yeah.
and it'll
Yeah.
that's the number one thing that I've gained from having a channel is like I basically become really close, especially podcasting. I become really close with the people that watch me. Um,
Yeah.
and I think you
I
would enjoy it, dude. I think you would enjoy it. It'll help the business, and I think you would enjoy it, man. You're good at it.
hell,
You're
man, I
good at being
appreciate
on
that.
video.
That suggestion, thank you, brother, because
Mhm.
it is because I do feel the same way. I mean, in terms of, man, I mean, number one, like documenting it, and also I
Yeah,
realized that
document versus
a lot of
create. Remember, like,
also a lot of cats been hitting me up on Instagram just wanting to know some basic stuff, and I feel like I want to like I just hate it that some people don't want to share information very readily,
yeah,
and I'm not that type of dude. Like I want to really be transparent and just
yeah.
information is power, and I want to share the
Mhm.
power. Just
Look, you can
you know
say exactly what you do, but no one is going to be able to replicate what you do.
Yeah, I mean,
That's the thing.
I have noticed a lot of
Yeah.
cats doing even though I started off copying, I was copying Smock, and even though just the basic process is still the one that I copied from him, so I don't
Mhm.
feel like I have any real like ownership over this process, but it does sometimes trip me out when and even like say the mini smock, I never even chopped that until I saw I was planning on it for a while, but I hadn't bought one, and I saw Knife Grandpa on IG do it, and I was like, dude, you pushed me over the edge. I was kind of planning on it. I won't do it like the way you did it, but I love what you did, and it kind of reminded me that that knife needs to be chopped. And so it's
Mhm.
like I'm always getting inspired and stealing stuff from other modders too. But sometimes I do trip out when I'll see like actually hella much in the last few weeks, a
Yeah.
shitload of ones that I know fools got inspired by my shit.
Yeah.
But I more like take it as a compliment and just go, you know what?
Yeah. Yeah.
I stole the whole thing from Smock. It's and it's not like it's I feel like it's just a kind of human impulse to want to customize and make these and like you were saying before, man, just a lot of dope big knives out there that you might just imagine just being
Dude.
better, more pocket
Yeah.
friendly sized. So I feel like I get inspired when I see other people doing something similar.
Yeah.
But,
Me, I do
I
too.
feel like there has been a big rash
Mhm.
of people doing it more in the last, especially the last few weeks even.
Yeah.
We're not like starting to do it,
Yeah.
but basically doing some chops that I see
Do you,
myself
do,
in.
do
Mhm.
you have like specifications that need to be met in order for you to work on something? Like,
Yeah, man.
yeah.
I'm starting to get way more in tune with that because actually this is what fucked me up the most. Not having those down and
Mhm.
accepting some chops that I hadn't done before and getting in some real sticky situations where I was like, ooh, I just fucked this knife up. What do I do now? And basically, I end up being able to recover and salvage and not have any utter disasters. But it got scary a couple times, and that's been my
Yeah.
always my biggest fear of like tackling a new mod and then not getting into hot water. So yeah, what I've realized the main thing that I need to do is always, especially before committing to a chop, look at disassembly videos and look at what's going on in the fucking liner, because all the cutouts
Yeah.
in the liner, especially, well, now I have some new techniques for like say what used to mess me up the most, like just starting off like chopping smocks, not
Mhm.
realizing that most of the smock liner, huge weight reduction cutouts in the liner. So I
Mhm.
chop it past the holes, the clip holes, and then not have any place to actually thread, tap any metal to thread to install a clip. So when you try to thread it in just the G10, that shit'll strip out hella fast. The G10's just
Damn.
not strong enough to hold those threads. So you can tap into it and it'll hold for a few go rounds, but you take out the clip even once or twice, and that shit will not hold again in most cases. So I'd be like,
Whoa.
"Ooh, what do I do now?" So I'd start off doing weird shit, like so I'd chop off the edge of the smock that had the holes already threaded in the liner, and that piece of
Mhm.
metal would just be floating, a little triangle. So I go, oh, I'm gonna now shave it down and put that behind, like basically reposition that so there's something new to drill into, with some more metal to drill into. But now what I do instead is just use these inserts. There's these things called helicoil inserts, like these steel one. You can just basically drill a hole in like micarta G10, and then basically epoxy in a steel threaded insert that will hold a clip, man, super robustly. But it took me a lot of fuck ups before I realized that, stuff like that. So it would basically like be, oh wait, there's no more steel to tap into. What do I do? And having to solve those problems. And so some of the stickier things from mods that I hadn't tried myself, and just committing to them, and then going partway through and going, oh hell no. Anyway, the worst one was one on my personal knife. Oh, here, I can grab it right here.
Yeah, I was gonna ask, what's the worst like
this is like when I was talking about some mods reeking of success when you look at them, and it just gives me a warm feeling, because it was the Civivi, what is this, the Rustic Gent. So I've done the Zulu mod on this one, right? It's normally like that that clip point, and basically, like more angular handle. So I basically chopped it down just a little bit. I think the original hand, I'm not holding up to the camera, original handle, like, I don't know, maybe up to here, blade a little, a little bit longer. It's not too much shorter, but I more just wanted a different blade shape. I always start by holding my finger up to pictures and blocking it off. So it's like say this had the clip point, I'd be holding my finger up trying to
see if you could sheepsfoot or Warncliffe it, right?
And like oh, I think that looks kind of tight right there. And try it out. But basically I had never fucked with a liner lock before, and didn't realize that basically this whole piece is like a big ass spring, right?
Yeah.
And so, but basically, so when I chopped it, all of a sudden it wasn't anchored anymore, and it wouldn't lock. And I was like, it wasn't an expensive knife, so I wasn't super put out, but I was just bummed because I thought it looked cool, but it wouldn't lock. So then I had to go in and basically just drill a hole. I had to do some crazy shit to basically make it so I could
salvage it,
spring, and then salvage it. But then now I look at that knife as being, oh yeah, dude, now it's a success story. I'm like, oh, them almost dropped it on my myself. But yeah, now when I hold it up, I feel that extra warm, tingly feeling, because I'm like, fucked it up hella bad for a good week. I was like, nah, I think it's not salvageable. But then I had to just go drill into the liner and basically bolt the find another pivot point and bolt the spring to it, to the liner. But man, so every time so far that I fucked up kind of badly, it's just resulted in me learning new skills, and then I come out of it more confident. And a lot of it is confidence and just going, everything's going to go perfectly this time around. I'm gonna think positively. And also little things like maybe taping a metal ruler in place, so if I slip, I'm not going to mar the blade up, or little things like that, like just little kind of little safety precautions.
Have you ever done a mod or a chop and you couldn't salvage it, and you had to tell the guy like, hey bro, like this is what happened, and you had to like,
I'm kind of in that boat right now, with my homie Wolf. I basically had to give him a freebie on this one. It was I have it right here.
Yeah, what is it?
I mean, Choppin the Mannix 2.
Yeah.
So the Mannix 2, this backspacer this and standoff doesn't exist. It's just basically these ones, and there's a big ass lanyard tube right there that provides a lot of stability. Me being a scrub, like here's the chop. It's worked out pretty cool. Just put in the clip, but I had to basically file down a backspacer from a paramilitary 2, drill holes, do some crazy shit, because I got into hot water, basically committing to the chop, just looking at it and going, no, I'm not chopping off a rear standoff, so it should be fine stability wise if I chop it there. But for not realizing that it was the lanyard tube that gave it that rear the stability to the butt. So
did you salvage it?
Oh shit! So I went, hold up, Wolf. I gotta basically do some new techniques. And he had an extra pair of 2 hardware set, so he sent me that. And so basically I was basically just having to jury rig that up and just figure out.
Yeah.
I'd never even done basic stuff like countersinking the heads, since I practicing hella much. And it didn't turn out perfectly. I basically trimmed it a little, and yeah, I won't go into all the details of the imperfections, but I didn't do it perfectly. So I was like, man, since I had to spend so much time on this and not give you a factory perfect mod, dude, it's on the house, but it still it felt hella weird, because I was like, man, like, what do I do in this case? Like, maybe I could I was thinking maybe I buy a beater, because I basically, some weird stuff where I drilled the hole a little bit too close to the edge, so it's not ideal for certain things. And I was thinking, if I bought a beater, I could re-drill into liners and swap that out. It's a sprint run, which made it even dicier, because it's a 390 sprints. One of the M390 sprints. I was like, oh god. But anyway, so that's been the worst so far. But luckily he's been real understanding, and basically the main thing is it's all working out in the end. It's just not quite as perfect. I like it to come out perfect. So that's been the one that has caused me the most a loss of sleep, and I was losing sleep over that one for sure.
So what knife what knife do you think we should work on? Because I'm trying to think of what I have in my collection. I want to have titanium in it because Lindy and Richie, that's what they do, right?
Right on.
I don't know. I don't know what specifications do you need? Like, does it have to be specific models like that you've worked on before?
But basically, when I'm always scoping out a new chop, I'm always looking for the rear standoff position, just because I don't want to get into that Mannix territory and having to create a rear standoff. So I'm looking for position like, man, if I chop behind a standoff, is it going to give me stability and enough room to mess with the shape of things, And also looking for ideally I try to look for like disassembly videos, just make sure the weird stuff's not going in internally.
How about blade steel? Do you have a preference, or like do you have a limitation?
No, I mean, definitely the super steels take a little bit longer to get through, but not so, and a little bit more time to grind through.
What about D2?
Say again, man?
What about D2?
No, man, totally fine. Yeah, and even like say like this Mannix, like I was noticing definitely M390 taking longer, going through a little bit more. I think that one could be a pretty ideal.
Do you want to try it?
The main thing I have reservations about is that the rear standoff position. It's like basically I'm thinking, pivot it off. Yeah, it's all happening so far back there that there wouldn't be, basically chopping it would have to be only chopping off the butt end, right? And so it wouldn't give you that much to really work with. But at the same time, what I'll bet would yield the best results is if all the modding squad and if we get together on a Zoom, and you just lay out some of the possibilities, and then we could all be like, oh, that one I could do this on, and we could kind of put our heads together.
I'm thinking about it. I'm definitely gonna hit them up after this pod, because that is an idea that's never happened, which is kind of weird that it's never happened in Knife YouTube. But I think right now, with the internet being like almost at its peak and we're all connected now, it's easy. Like after I talked to you, I was like, I should do this. This is like a cool piece of content that I'll do like a really dope video. I'll make TikToks. I'll make Twitter. I make tweets about it. I'll make Instagram reels about it. Along the way, we could do stuff like little cool things, and then the very end product, like we'll talk about like what hardships and what cool things happened along the way. And I think people would just follow that. Like everyone's channels get bigger, everyone's Instagrams and all that gets bigger, everyone spreads awareness for what they're doing. I think it'd be a really, really dope thing that's never been done. And
I'm feeling it. I'm hella feeling it.
Me too. I'm pretty hyped for it, to be honest. I'll think about it, man. Dude, we just did like an hour and like 40 minutes.
Oh damn! Yeah,
No, it's awesome. It's
I was
awesome.
thinking that
Yeah.
we would be in that kind of state because yeah,
Yeah.
you seem like
It,
someone that I could vibe with
yeah,
nicely, and
dude.
that is what turned
Definitely.
out to be the case for real, man.
Likewise, I had no idea what I was getting into. I was telling Kelly, like I was telling my girl, like, dude, I hope this guy like talks a little bit, you know, because like I podcasted with people that like I couldn't air the episodes, man.
Uh-huh.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Because like I'm a talkative guy, you know, I'm pretty laid back. I can bounce off people and stuff like that. But you got to give me some energy,
No, I
right?
feel that. I feel that.
Some.
And
You know what I'm
yeah, it's
saying?
like everyone has their
Yeah.
different style of rolling
Right,
through.
right. You know, you got to
Introverts
give
have
me
a lot
some
going on,
energy.
but
Like
for
if
this
I
type of format,
yeah,
yeah,
yeah. You
like
got to
yeah,
give me a little bit, you know. Like I think you're the first person that gave me like as much as I would give actually, but again, I think it's
right
because we're
on.
just creative people, man. But you know what?
Hell yeah.
Before we head out, like let people know like how they can follow you. Like maybe you can give out your Reddit or your Instagram. Like where can they follow you and check out your work?
Man, appreciate it, man. Yeah, the main place is Instagram. So just Bladechops on IG is the
So
main
just
place.
at Blade
But
Chops, one word.
yep, yep. And basically, on Reddit, I can't even remember. I think I'm Agartha Audio, which used to be my production company, and
Agartha Audio.
on Spyderco forum, I think I'm Dig Dug 72. Basically, Dig Dug Agartha Audio was my music production stuff,
Cool,
and so that
cool.
was because Dig Dug's such a popular video game,
Yeah,
it's
yeah,
like man,
yeah,
a lot
yeah,
of people with that kind of moniker, so I'd always
yeah.
get kind of stonewalled. So I'm having to go
Mhm.
on to Reddit right now and check. Yeah, so I'm like Agartha Audio.
On
Agartha was
Reddit.
like
Yeah, there you go.
mythical city, all these Hollow Earth conspiracy theories that I was super into, just like kind of trip out
Whoa.
that people actually believed in that
Like
craziness.
some
And
journey
then
to the center of the earth type stuff?
yeah, it was basically like I was in grad school at UCSD, and this was like in 2000, so this is a long ass time ago. And I started I'm just super into mythology and just different stories from around the
Same.
world.
Same. I love it. That's why I watch cinema from every like country. Like
Hell
everything. I
yeah,
watch
man.
so much international cinema as well as American.
Yeah,
It's just
but
so
you're
interesting. Yeah.
definitely got to go outside of Hollywood to get to
Right, right. There's
start
some
getting
really
introduced there.
crazy shit out there, man. Yeah.
Hell yeah, man.
Yeah, dude.
And so I would basically be collecting all these stories
Mhm.
about like reptilian beings inhabiting the center of the earth.
Yeah.
And what would trip me out is like I would hear some sources talking about like the Nazis or like Hitler believing in that stuff, but
Yeah,
then
yeah, yeah.
also realize that nah, it actually, I mean, it go or maybe I should say nah, but it also goes back to like the Tibetan Buddhists,
Mhm.
Southeast Asia. A lot of like you'll see the Buddha with these cobras behind him. It's
Yeah, yeah,
called the
yeah.
Naga Buddha, and the Nagas are the serpent people who
Yep.
inhabit the
Naga. Yeah.
center of the earth.
Dude, you know what's
And
crazy? Guess what city I was born in the Philippines?
oh,
Naga City.
oh,
Wild,
dude, that's
bro.
crazy. That's
Full
crazy.
circle right there.
You know, and so
Yeah.
yeah, for Asian
Wild.
people, dude, in Asian
Yeah.
culture,
Mhm.
the snake wisdom, it runs pretty deep, you
Yeah,
know.
yeah. Yeah.
And even like for like Mesoamerica, like Central America, Mexico, like Kukulkan Quetzalcoatl was like
Mm-hmm.
the feathered
Quetzalcoatl.
serpent
Yeah, yeah.
bringing knowledge of civilization, of astronomy, of
Mhm.
agriculture to the you know, to the Aztecs and Mayans. And basically it just seems like cross culturally a lot of these patterns of, you know, these serpent beings conveying wisdom and teaching people about, you know, some core skills. And
Mhm.
so I was basically kind of collecting some of these stories and making art based on it, but then started to go real down the rabbit hole and collect a lot of these more contemporary sources about it, just because I was bugging
Yeah.
out on like, man, there's a lot, people have been talking about this stuff for like thousands of years, why? Like it just seems like some nutty ass shit to me.
Yeah.
But also just kind of looking at it as contemporary science fiction and just bugging out of it as ways to generate stories and just, you know, think creatively. But
I
so
love
I
it, man.
basically when I got signed to Uncommon in 2001, my first album was basically it was called Hollow Earth Mythologies, and it was basically I was
That's
getting rappers
dope.
from around the world, you know, like writing in some cases like conspiracy theory weird shit, some cases it
Yeah.
was ridiculous stories, some of
Yeah.
it like I had one dude like, you know, writing a rhyme that he was Thomas Jefferson replacing fools with robotic doppelgangers to like you know during the revolution, and you know,
Oh,
like it's
damn.
just, some of it was just ways for me to get hella buggy and see if dudes who I knew who were rappers
That's
could like
dope.
go outside their comfort zone and rap about
Yeah,
some weird ass shit that I was into, you know?
that's
And so some of
dope,
it would be like,
man.
you know, stories, some of it was comedy, some of it was like,
Yeah,
you know, stuff like about like CIA mind control and MK Ultra that I thought was like,
yeah,
you know, actually revealing some pretty core shit that I believe
yeah,
in, you know?
yeah,
And so it was kind of a mix of science fiction. Well, I think all science fiction, you know, taps into, you know, a blend of mythology, of ridiculous, you know, fictional shit, as well as tapping into some real truths about
mhm.
the world. So I was hoping to go there with my album. So anyway, I was just super into Agartha as this
Yeah.
concept of like, and also
Agartha
freestyle rapping
Audio.
coming out of this, like I always felt like the core hip hop was like cats coming off the top of the head. The improv as being the
Yeah,
heart of jazz music, the heart of blues,
yeah,
was to me the heart of like human beings connecting, I don't know, with the universe through music in a powerful way, and
yeah,
like almost like channeling in some cases. And so I was like, nah, you know, Agartha and these Hollow Earth, that's just a metaphor for tapping into the subconscious and these bigger like sources of inspiration, and I don't know, just tapping into something bigger than
yeah.
yourself too. And it's
Deep,
a kind of a
dude. I love
metaphor.
it, man. I love it.
Right
Bro,
on, man. So yeah, that was where, so that, yeah, that took, dude, I rambled too much. That was like, you know, just to explain my fucking Reddit handle. So
no, yeah,
so
you know
Garth
what's
Audio, that's
crazy
where that
is
comes from.
like,
Mhm.
so Agartha Audio and at Bladechops on Instagram. Don't
Yeah,
worry,
yeah,
I do the same thing. Like I'm a rambler. That is why I started this podcast. I think that's why I'm good at this podcast.
yeah,
Um,
yeah.
it was a pleasure having you on, my friend. I am definitely going to set up this collaboration because I think it's going to be huge. If you ever want to promote anything, maybe you did a dope ass like you know, chop that you want to showcase, you want to have a review done or some kind of showcase on it, I would love to do that for you. Just send it
Man, I,
you know,
I,
I'll do the video and then I'll just send it back. Like it's I that actually the channel right now, like my channel, um relies solely on loners and viewer donations, and I'm part of this pass around group, the Apex pass around group, that sends me all the knives
yeah,
and stuff. So yeah, whenever you want to showcase something, I'm more than happy to do it. You're welcome to come on here if you want to promote something anytime.
man,
uh,
I hella appreciate that.
yeah,
And man, I just started, or I should say just, but it was, have done it, I think just one incarnation of this kind of, just sending Brandcron. It was like, you know, some of my newer chops, just to
yeah,
have him check it out, and then he'd send me knives that he thought that I might vibe
yeah,
on, just to
yeah,
kind of like, you know, just to do it. It was fun. But
yeah.
I'm gonna start just sending you like random little packages of shit, just
Oh my god, yeah. And
you know,
dude, I will
'cause,
make content for it. Like the thing is, when you send something into my channel, doesn't matter if it's a loaner, a donation, or whatever it is, right? I will make pieces of content for it on every platform that's popping right now. So you're gonna have
right
content
on.
on TikTok, you're gonna have content on Twitter. Like my Twitter audience is basically just black gamers and anime like nerds. That's all the people
Right
that follow me
on.
on Twitter. On
Right on.
TikTok, it's like kind of a mix. On YouTube, it's like, and Instagram, it's pretty much the same knife community people. So you're going to be reaching a lot of different people. And you're also helping me out, you know, just by loaning me something. Cause dude, I don't make a lot of money. Like I just started a CBD shop with my family. So I'm
Oh,
basically
hell
like,
yeah.
yeah, like it's
Dude,
just,
right on.
it's starting to pop, but it's like gonna take maybe another 2 or 3 more years for me to be making some real cash. So I actually
Yeah.
haven't bought a knife in like over a year and a half. It's like crazy. But
Yeah.
I check
Knives are
out knives.
expensive.
I check out knives like every week though. So it's been really a happy kind of compromise to keep the channel alive. But dude,
Yeah,
yeah,
man.
like I was saying, man, we're definitely gonna link up on Instagram. I'm gonna hit you up after this, and I'm gonna hit up some of these collaborations. But it was a pleasure, and I hope that you guys watching and listening have enjoyed listening to me and Blade Chops just basically ramble on about everything. But
You know,
one
it's been hella fun, man. Yeah.
it was. I didn't even keep track of the time. I was like, oh shit, it's like almost 11 p.m. But
Yeah,
dude,
but
it
what,
was
man, I think I let dinner get cold on me, but that's fine. You know, that's what microwaves are for and
yeah,
shit.
yeah.
Yeah, and man, I haven't made it out to New York in a while, but when
Yeah.
the next time I do, I'm gonna holler at you, man. We gotta kick it, because
Dude, hit me up, hit me up. We'll go somewhere. We'll eat some good food, you know. We'll like chill out. Just let me know when you're coming, man. But
yeah, New
for
York's one
those
of my it's one of
Yeah.
my favorite cities, and it's been a couple years since I've been. So man,
Yeah.
sometime soon I'm have to trek east, and
Yeah,
I'm
after all this crazy stuff, like let's see, like,
yeah, man,
when the world resets a little bit, you know what I mean?
for real. I'm not trying to jump on a damn
Yeah,
plane anytime soon.
we're
You
gonna be
know
hanging out in hazmat suits, like
that, dude. I know. It's tripping me out. Like, how long is this reality shift gonna last? Like,
I
maybe
think
this is our new
forever,
reality.
man. Yeah, I think
Yeah.
forever. I think people are just gonna get sick from COVID and get better, or we're gonna make like crazy cool respirator, like you know what I
I'm
mean?
waiting.
Like,
I'm waiting for the mutations, man. Like
yeah.
mods would be
Oh,
way easier
dude,
if I had another arm growing out of my
I know
armpit
you
or
could
something like
mod
that.
faster.
Hell yeah. Or at least a little light, like a light growing out of the back of my head. So I
Like
can
an
illuminate shit
anglerfish
would
type shit.
be all good,
Yeah,
man. Hey
yeah,
man, thanks for having me on.
yeah,
It's been a pleasure, and man, and it helps me out too. It's like I'm not I've already gotten more work than I can handle, but at the same
yeah,
time, I want to always spread awareness and
yeah,
just
definitely.
advertise and just and it's part of that social media addiction. It's
Yeah,
like
yeah, yeah.
even though I have to have my books closed, I'm still wanting to get more plays and views,
Mhm.
and so and it's just fun.
Do you know
But
when you're gonna have your books open again,
I
or you just have too much
man,
work
that
right now?
it was all about like because when I started on Instagram, I was basically phasing out of teaching for the semester, but also having to shift into the distance learning stuff, which was
Mhm.
giving me way more time because physical teaching, I was like, man, in there from like 8 to 4, and then
Yeah,
all of a sudden I was like, oh hell yeah, I can do way more. But
yeah,
then when basically what was it, about a month and a half ago was when work started up again, and so I
yeah,
was like, oh man, I've been chopping a lot and just getting used to the schedule that I don't have anymore. So
yeah,
I basically had to put my books on hold just so I wasn't because I was starting to lag on cats. I'd be like, yeah, promising people it'd only be like
yeah, yeah.
1 to 2 week
You had to
turnaround,
catch
and then
up
realizing,
first, right?
oh man, it's been
Yeah,
a month and I'm not tackling
yeah,
tackling it yet. So I was having to, just basically apologize and basically being, man, I got to come correct for the cats who are already,
yeah, yeah,
who've
yeah,
already
yeah,
sent me their stuff. So
yeah.
I just had to close down just so I could handle all the stuff that I hadn't finished, and then realized that I was also like getting stressed that this was something that was made to give me pleasure and not be something. It wasn't, it's never intended to be a real business. So it's just like, to be honest, I was like, ooh, I can buy hella more knives now, because as we were just talking about, dude, this shit's expensive. And so I was
Yo,
like,
it's so
oh, that's
expensive,
that's been the
man.
biggest thing of not having to like, justify it, hide it from my wife, feeling hella guilty about like, oh, maybe I just spent hella money, or like feeling, or obviously hella knives you see come out. It's like, nah, I just know that it was always out of my price range.
Too
But I
many
don't
come
feel
out
like
now.
that anymore. I'm like, like I still don't want to scope out customs because I feel like, at around, I feel like above the $300 range are really a lot of diminishing returns. But man,
Yeah,
a lot of
uh,
really dope knives between 200 and 300
definitely.
bucks. But
Hmm.
dude, that's expensive, for like, man. And so that was one thing why I started to really love
Yeah,
Instagram and it turning into a kind of a
yeah,
business, because I was like, man, I can afford to buy all the shit that I thought was out of my price range, and also just afford to buy more knives to chop, and that would help grow something that would help me out ultimately too.
yeah.
But yeah. Anyway, man, I'm back into rambling again. Sorry, brother. We were trying to
Don't
give our
worry about
goodbyes.
it,
I
man.
lost the whole
Dude,
new.
I'm gonna have you on here again. But for you people watching, this is your boy Ray, and this is the EDCCP saying peace.
Yo, don't forget to hit that subscribe button, and don't forget to hit that bell icon so we can squad up in the comments.